evening, everyone, and welcome to the Danny Grieves Show. This is Scott Kerker, along with Colton Kaler and head coach Danny Grieves. Coach, boy, it's been a long time since we've been able to do this.
About 10 months, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's been a while. Hard to believe that we're playing our first game here at the end of January.
Well, I was just glad to be in the gym.
Yeah, it was awfully nice to get that smell, when you walk into a gym. And, every sport has its own distinct smell, and boy, it was nice to walk into a gym and smell it. I thought I would miss the crowd a little bit, but maybe since I knew there wasn't going to be one, it didn't really matter. You still played the game.
I'll tell you, the excitement of the whole game atmosphere was still there.
Yeah.
Even though the parents weren't there, and that's what I hated most off, I think, and our fans and administration, but our kids were just really happy to be in the gym too. And, we had to jump start somewhere, so it was kind of neat that we were one of the first teams in the area to play.
Yeah, it was awfully nice to get out on the floor. The one thing that stood out for me at the very beginning, and we've talked about it here before we went on the air, is just how young you are.
Yeah.
You start 3 sophomores and 2 juniors.
Yeah.
And
the first kid off the bench was a little spunky guy, but he doesn't have much experience either. Solomon Schwartz.
And then you brought in Jake Nealon, who's also a junior, who
Right.
hasn't had a lot of experience. You have nobody other than Zach Schroeder and Ethan Kaiser who've had any varsity experiences, and like you said before, and they're not at the rules that they're playing right now.
Well, the first quarter was a little shaky because of that, and the second quarter was even worse defensively. But you know what? By the halftime, got them settled down a little bit, reorganized, and I thought they came out and played 16 minutes of pretty good basketball. We outscored them 5 points in each quarter, but we're still just right there and had a shot at the buzzer to win it. So, as poorly as things went at times, and you could really see some of the pieces of the puzzle was pretty good.
And it's going to come around.
Yes.
That's for sure. But when you look at this whole season, and it's going to be a little bit of a crapshoot for you a little bit, because I think these yesterday afternoon's game and then Tuesday night's game against IVC are, I believe, your only 2 non-conference games.
Correct.
And so when you get into conference play, but that's the nice thing about it is then at the end of the year you still have a conference tournament. So it's going to be a little bit of a...
I thought it was imperative to try to get a couple games before we got into conference play, if that's all we're going to do.
Yeah.
So I called 13 schools to try to play. And Central Catholic was the one that was really trying to go forward with it, but had to get okay from the bishop. So it took a minute to that, and then IVC picked us up for Tuesday night's game too. So I'm glad we get as young as we are, it is nice to get some warm-up games before we get into the middle lineup.
And Coach, I was talking to Kerker before he came in here. It's been a while since I've been in this place to begin with. Not often do I say that.
Great to see you back here.
You're right. It's good to be back. But
We miss you.
was there a certain point yesterday where you woke up and you're like, hey, we're finally doing this thing. This is, it's game day.
Well, we pushed, and that kind of hit the day before. And I know that the kids were still kind of leery, is it really going to happen? But I tell you what, once we got that pregame walkthrough and got on the bus, the juices really started flowing, and the kids were, all business, and they know once they get on the bus, it's a business trip, and it was just really fun to see them back in the zone and having some fun and playing some basketball.
With this year only having a conference tournament at the end of the year, no playoffs, and you being a young team, is it more... Are you disappointed, obviously, that there's going to be no postseason to see where your team would be at the end of the year, or is it kind of a year to build things and figure out where you are going into next year?
Well, I'm really disappointed for our seniors because they're not getting an opportunity to play their senior year in the postseason. And I think by the time the end of the season comes and we would be ready, even though we're young, I think we're going to have some kids that are really going to have some good basketball ahead of them once they get that experience. And with that, I think our chemistry is really going to be so much better also. I think you could see signs of it, yesterday, and I do know this. Our point guard, Zach, did a heck of a job of coming in and keeping us organized that second half. He knew when to pass the ball, he knew when to take the ball to the basket, and that was that captain leadership that we really needed. So I wish he could have got a little bit more help, but I thought Zach did a tremendous job to give us a chance at winning.
Is it We mentioned this was your youngest team since you've been here.
True.
Is it more of a learning curve each and every day, still trying to figure out the pieces of this team?
Well, we'd be a lot more prepared if we had more days like we normally would in the season. And so our teams aren't as polished early on. So we made quite a few fundamental mistakes where usually we're pretty fundamentally sound. And so we're not used to that. So our kids are trying to, work on that learning curve. Also, some of the young kids learn our new stuff and then to apply it at a much faster rate at a varsity game. It's not, the speed between the sophomore and the varsity game is huge. And so there's sophomores and juniors, and we played 9 seniors that are pretty seasoned. So we were glad just to get the game. We were really thankful for Coach Welch to give us the opportunity to be one of the first teams to play in the area. So that alone was a lot of fun, and our kids were just glad to be back, in the gym, playing with each other and having a good time.
When you look at this and you look around the Mid-Atlantic Conference, I think the teams that have the most seniors are going to be the teams that kind of have a little bit of an advantage. And there are some teams that are senior oriented. I think Morton's going to be pretty good. When you look down the road, they're going to be pretty solid because of their seniors. Washington's always solid.
Well, they've had guys that have been starting for 3 years.
Yeah.
So they're by far the lead dog in this pack.
Yeah, but the rest of the teams are, when I look back to last year's teams, I don't think they have as many seniors as maybe the top 2 or 3 do. And so they're going to be in kind of the same boat you are. But I believe that our sophomores and juniors are probably going to be better than those guys down the road.
They could be pretty salty if they continue to work hard and progress like they have. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it has, and it's going to be fun to watch this year because going in that there's going to be a huge learning curve.
Right.
And when that starts to come around, that's going to give you a nice springboard into next season.
True.
And but when you look at the rest of the conference, in your opinion, who are the top dogs in this conference?
Well, obviously Washington is supposed to be winning, going away as far as their experience, their size, their ability, their D1 players. So they're going to be good. I know that Pekin's always a terrible place to go, and because they just play hard-nosed basketball, they make you grind it out, whether they have a lot of talent or a little talent, and then they can always shoot the ball well there, so it's always tough to play there.
Yeah.
Limestone has got some inside-outside game and got a little bit more depth than they used to, and so I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah, Limestone has a big guy in the middle.
Yeah, he can go, I don't know how we're going to guard him. And then, of course, Morton is always solid and well coached, and, they've been playing. They haven't missed a beat. They probably played 20, 25 games already, as speakeasy basketball. So,
right.
So they're in good shape and probably in mid-season form. And so, Canton is down a little bit again, and but they did have a couple kids move in that used to live there that came back, and they're going to be better. East Peoria, you never know about them. They're always well coached. John does a tremendous job. They always play us tough. Remember 2 years ago when they beat us over here in our tournament. And Dunlap is still got some young kids that started last year. Got a coach's kid that can really shoot it. They've got Coach Eddie Matthews that used to be the Limestone head coach over there as an assistant. And so he didn't need help being coach because I'll tell you what, Eddie's probably one of the best tacticians around. So that's kind of the conference in a nutshell. But I think that we could on any given night play with anybody. Yeah,
and that's kind of what you want, and that's going to be a little bit of a shame that the fans aren't going to get to be here to watch it. But hopefully,
there might be some fans. We're not. I'm not sold on no fans yet. So we're seeing how it goes, and if we get the 50 fan limit, I would love to see our parents to get to come and watch the kids. So that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, but irregardless, hopefully we can, work out some things with MTCO, and it looks like that's going to happen. That's another discussion. But when you get, when you start looking at your players, though, you talked about how green they are. And some of these players have never played, taken on the roles that they're asked to take on right now. Does that make it tougher? Because you've got so much youth and there's so much inexperience, or is it just part of the game?
I think the toughest part is we haven't had as much time to prepare. You know, and that's what we've been doing here for 10 years. Is we prepare so well and have them ready for the season that we do more than most teams do, and that's why we get a good jump early in the season. Notice our record since I've been here, we've done well early in the year. And then it kind of evens out a little bit. But, you know, I think that's what our kids have missed. And so now they're just like all the other kids. And, you know, so our margin of error is always small. You know, here we are, played another game yesterday, and we had a one-possession game again. You know, you brought that up last night. How many different one or two possession games we had in the last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Well, we go back
A ton of them.
almost 9 years, and we come up with 15.
Nail biters.
Yeah.
You know,
And
last year alone, I think there was 7.
right.
If you take a look.
And those are the 15 that were one possession games that we lost. We weren't talking about the ones we won, because we've had some of those
We've
we've
had
won.
quite a few of those too.
But there's been 15 games that came down to one possession that we lost, and that's just
It's part of the game. It is nice to have your kids in a position, just like last night, no matter how good or bad you played, that you have a chance to win the ball and to have the ball and win the game inside a minute. Now, we had the ball 4 different times inside 44 seconds. All right? And so, you know, we just got to get better at finishing. And, you know, even at the end, if would have got the shot off a half a second earlier, I think that shot would have went in.
it looked good.
It looked good. So hats off to our kids for not giving up and still executing all the way to the
Right,
end.
right.
What has this season been like for you specifically as a coach? Because obviously this is the probably craziest year that you've gone through as a coach yourself.
It's a friggin' nightmare. You know, scheduling the 3 gyms for practice, scheduling games. I've made 6 different schedules. All right, and you know we're talking about just monotonous over and over, and the grind has been unbelievable. And then no matter what you did, you throw it out. And then it's the next one, you throw it out. And then you keep telling the kids it's okay, we're going to play. And we were just about to lose them. We really were. You know, we've tried to keep the home fires burning about the hope to play, and we were just about to lose them. I'm so glad they finally gave in. You know, I thank God for Biden knowing how to handle the virus.
What is one? You know, it's only one game in this year, but what's one thing that you really love about this team?
Well, this team here has got a lot of potential. All right, where it takes them, I don't know. How hard they want to work, it's up to them. You know, it hasn't been an easy year, but it hasn't been an easy year for everybody. So we can't use that as an excuse anymore. That excuse is over and done with. But now we got a heck of a grind. We got 6 weeks with a game every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. When do you lift? When do you rest? How do you rest? You know, so somebody said, you need to give them a day off. And I said, well, they had 10 months off. Our kids don't want a day off, but then, you know, so we're going to have to do a real balancing act of, you know, they're young kids. There's still academics involved. There's still quarantines involved with family and school. And so the variables are vast and many. We'll just see how it goes. And all we can do is keep grinding and take a day at a time.
So, Coach, you kind of start your marathon Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
And it's going to be a 6-week marathon. But I think as a player, you'd be awfully thankful that you're playing just about every other day.
We are. Even when we were on the bus, you know, looked down, had to take a picture, everybody was, because we've got to get a seating chart in case anything happens. And so those little things have changed. But, you know, the camaraderie or the kids that look in their eyes about just wanting to play basketball is still there, and it's bigger and better than ever. And it's really been needed. And so, you know, win, lose, potato salad, as my dad used to say, we're having a great time.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, really all you have is yourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, there's nothing that can make a bad situation better than playing sports.
But nothing can replace that game feeling.
Oh, no.
All right, not an inter-squad scrimmage, not just workouts, not contact days. It's in the arena against another team, you know, battling and the game's on the line. And what a great game. First game out of the chute, here we are over there, and you know, we got a shot at the buzzer to try to win it. Very exciting.
Very exciting. Heartbreaking.
We're just glad to be back. Our administration has done a fantastic job of busting their tail and trying to be an innovator, trying to be the first to, you know, once it's a go, you know, how long do we have to wait? I called 13 different schools to try to get a game on Friday and Saturday. And nobody could pull the trigger because the administration could not, their insurance company could not, or the school board could not. And our administration did a fantastic job. You know, my hat's off to them because, you know, they allowed us to be the first out of the gate, and our kids needed that. And now we'll be more ready for the Tuesday game against IVC, which will really prep us for the middle-line I run. You got 17 games. That's a grinder.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And so any jump we could get on them, and so my hat's off to our administration.
And I want to thank Jared Hart too, because he kept us informed quite a bit too during this whole thing leading up to the games. And some of the stuff happened, you know, in just a matter of hours.
Well, the thing is, you got a little time, you set it up, and then the time comes and they change everything.
Right.
All right, and so you're trying to rework it, and then 24 hours later, change again. And so, you know, they have not given up. They you know, I'm really proud of the way their effort they've given us.
Yeah.
But it's all for the kids, and you know, it paid off.
Well, Coach, good luck Tuesday night, and
playing a really good IVC team.
Yeah, they're very good. This could be one of the.
That's their best team they've had there in a long time. They're well coached. Coach Quinn over there, and we're just happy to play. They're coming over here, which hopefully, you know, we'll have a little home court advantage. But it should be another barn burner.
Yeah, and you know, again, just being able to get out and play and getting that experience. Coach, good luck. It's going to be a heck of a journey.
Yeah, it is. It always is.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for your time tonight, and we'll see you Tuesday night.
Thanks for everything you guys do, man. I sure appreciate you. It's good to work with guys and know what they're doing, and you guys are the best.
Thank you very much, and again, we'll see you Tuesday night.
Thank you.